This rat's nest can cause issues. Today, we're talking about coaxial cables and how they can affect your internet performance. We're going to keep this pretty simple with just some basic tips so that you can make sure your internet performance isn't being messed with by bad cabling. So, the very first thing I recommend is go over to your wall plate where your internet is located, whether you're in an apartment, house, whatever, and go ahead and pull the wall plate off and look at the cable that's in the wall. And this goes for, phone line or coaxial. But, a lot of places were built a long time ago and may have old cabling in the wall that's never been replaced. And if that's the case, it's definitely going to be causing issues. You can get dropped connections from your modem. You can just have weirdness where your speeds aren't right sometimes, a whole bunch of weird stuff. So that is step one. Remove your wall plate, take a look, see if your cabling is good and newer. If it's newer, it should be good to go. The next thing I recommend is going down to your local hardware store and replacing that plastic wall plate with a wooden wall plate. They're only like a few cents. I think I paid 88 cents for mine at Home Depot. It was super cheap. Now, it doesn't match my paint, so I had to paint it white so that it matches the walls and whatever. You may want to do that if it's not somewhere kind of hidden and it's going to be more out in the open. And the reason I recommend doing that, getting a wooden wall plate, is those plastic wall plates are flimsy. And if you bump your cable too much when it comes out of the wall, you can crack that plate. And when it gets cracked, it starts causing a whole bunch of issues because the cable that's coming inside out from the wall start to bend in weird ways. And then your cable that's coming out from the wall will also start to bend in weird ways. Then you're going to start having more cable issues because your cables will be stuff like that and bending, and that's really not good for your cables and your line. So you want to make sure everything is nice and straight as possible throughout everything that you're doing cable wise. The next thing is splitters. Splitters are, well, they're a nightmare, and there's something that I completely recommend not having if you can. Now, if you got cable and you've got internet, probably going to have a splitter. One splitter is okay. It's when you start adding multiples to add different boxes and different TVs around your house. Ooh, that's going to cause some problems, especially if your internet is not on a separate line. If you're in a big place and you're like, hey, I've got like many rooms, I want them all to have internet and I want them all to have cable, I would recommend really just taking your time there and keeping splitters down to a bare minimum. If anything, you just want one. In a lot of cases, you can get away with just one because most places you're just going to have one modem and, maybe cable. But I figure most people these days aren't running cable. I think people have Netflix and stuff. I don't know. I haven't had cable in years, so maybe I'm just projecting some. But most people I know don't have cable either. So they got internet, though. So anyway, splitters, bad. You want to also make sure they're not old like this one, which is kind of hard to see. But yeah, this is an old splitter I've had for forever, and it's not very good. It's not high quality. I mean, it works, but I would use this kind of splitter for like an antenna. If you're like, I just watch DTV, I got, just regular antenna I watch, and then I've got my Netflix and Hulu's and all those things. Like I feel a lot of people do these days. But when it comes to internet, you really want to make sure that cable is nice and straight, not bent, and it doesn't have any splitters. Also, I recommend replacing that wall plate so there's no way those cables can bend either coming from the wall or out the wall. So just some simple tips when it comes to your cabling in your internet, because it really can make a significant difference when it comes to everything. If you've got some bent cable in your wall, things that are old, and you're getting dropped connections and your modems just acting weird, one day you got full speeds, the next day you don't, that all could be due to cabling. That's always where I recommend starting. Start with your cable, take a look at everything, make sure it's new, especially if you're in an apartment, an older apartment. Your landlord may have never had the chance or even know to have the cables replaced, and you can probably get away with asking. And some landlords may be, I don't really want to, but it's not that bad. And you may even be able to offer to do the work yourself and just take a Saturday off and knock it out. So that is where I'd start off. Start off with your cabling and then go from there to your modem and then down the line so that you continue to improve your internet. I will have more videos like this, little tips and tricks and stuff to help you along your way. If you like this video and it was helpful to you, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and as always, take her easy.